Everybody, welcome back to the ESL Hearthstone Legendary Series. Dan's taking a break for now, but my name is CJ Osmond Sanders, joined by Kevin Monk Don. That was actually a pretty fast series between Chalky and Savitz.
Yeah, definitely a contrast in the last match and the match before that, where
Yeah.
I think the match before that took over twice as long as Savitz versus Chalky. You wouldn't really expect it to, but I guess you might expect it because typically Chalky is the aggro player, but now Savitz actually brought on the aggro. He just brought 3 pretty much aggro decks, killed Chalky kind of with his own medicine.
Yeah, so before we move into that second semifinal match between Kabi and, of course, Ignite, we want to give you guys one more reminder of the format for this season of the Legendary Series. We have a Challenger Cup followed by the following week Legendary Series match day. Top 6 players from the Challenger Cup join 2 invited players for each week, and the winner of each week goes on to Legendary Series Season 2 Land Finals. They will be joined by 4 players from the Redemption Tournament and 8 players from the Last Chance Open for a total of 16 players competing for that $25,000 grand prize at the Season 2 Land Finals, or $25,000 prize pool.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more about that Last Chance qualifier.
Yeah, so I encourage everyone to play in the Last Chance Open, especially if you're from the North American region. Of course, that will be the only region, as we've said multiple times before, where you can compete from because the LAN will actually be a week after.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's really hard to get plane tickets and visas in that time. So yeah. So if you're European or from any other region that's not North American, I encourage you to play the last Challenger tournament, which will be on May 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, of course. You can get more information about that at legendaryseries.com. It is a first come, first serve. There are a limited amount of spots for that Challenger Cup. I believe 256 players can compete, which is a lot. But there's going to be a lot of players competing since it is going to be the last chance for players outside of North America, like Monk said, to qualify for the Legendary Series LAN Finals. But we also like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for the Season 2 of the Legendary Series. Playtronics and Gigabyte have joined us to make a lot of the cool things possible that we're going to be able to do for the Season 2 LAN Finals and hopefully moving forward from that. So if you'd like to support them, support the Legendary Series, make sure you head to those links below and check out some of the gear that Playtronics and Gigabyte have available.
And if you'd like to support the ESL Legendary Series, you can find out and join the conversation by tweeting at ESL Hearthstone or using the hashtag HLS, which we will be doing pretty soon after this broadcast.
Yeah, and Chalky actually didn't get second place today.
Oh, no. Too bad for Chalky. I mean, great for Chalky.
Yeah.
He broke the curse.
He broke the curse. So you can tweet out with the hashtag broke the curse as well if you'd like to, but I don't think Chalky would be too happy. Maybe you should send him your well-playeds and your GGs to maybe cheer him up a little bit. But of course, we are actually we're doing a giveaway too. I almost forgot. ESL.gg/legendaryweek3. If you head to that website and follow the instructions on the screen, you'll be entered in a raffle to win some packs. This is the most exciting part of my day.
To win packs? Or to talk about winning packs?
To talk about winning packs.
Okay.
Just the exhilaration of the thought of somebody somewhere winning packs, free packs, just
makes you gleeful.
It does. It warms my heart as well to think that someone out there is just opening packs right now.
I'm pretty sure there's lots of people.
Hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions of people.
But some free packs from ESL?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, there's probably actually nobody in the world opening free packs from ESL right now. So you could be the lucky person to be the first in the world to do that. But we are about to get underway with this second semifinal between Kabi and, of course, Ignite. So let's talk a little bit about these players. Kabi, he went 1-1 yesterday in his group, so we had to fight through that elimination match earlier against 2Wet. And it seems like his deck lineup is really working. The mid-range hunter and the ramp druid specifically have been sort of the MVP decks for him so far in this tournament.
Yeah, I have to say, out of all players in the tournament, I think I'm most impressed pretty much by Kabi and Ignite. They both brought very interesting deck lists that are kind of different from the norm, and they've also played really well. For example, Ignite yesterday, he played a Priest versus Zoo game where he had the Octonized Circle on turn 4, but he just didn't use that combo until something like turn 8. His opponent, Chalky, actually was able to play around it fairly well. Play around Octonized Circle until around turn 8, in which Ignite was like, no, I had the Octonized Circle the whole time. You're just dead. You can't do anything. Your board is cleared.
Yeah, it shows patience and sort of a discipline that not many people show. It sort of reminds me, I don't know if you remember this or if anybody really remembers this, but back in the BlizzCon North American qualifiers at Hammerstein in New York last year, Strifecrow was playing a priest game against, I can't remember who it was, but I believe it was a Zulok or some type of aggressive deck. It might have been against Ant, but I can't quite remember. And he actually got down to as low as like 4 HP because he just kept healing and passing. Even though he had ways to deal with the board, he wanted to just be force his opponent to overextend or entice his opponent to overextend. And every turn, even though the board was building up bigger and bigger, heal, pass, heal, pass, heal, pass. And he did this until like turn 7 or 8 and then just completely cleared the board. And there was just no momentum left for his opponent. And it's plays like that that really separate like from the good players from the great players, I guess is a good way to put that.
Yeah, it's something that you do really have to know when you're playing control decks like Priest or Warrior, right? A large part about playing Warrior, in fact, is, as you may very well know, as you're a very prominent Warrior yourself, just taking enough damage so like you can't use your shield slams too early, you can't use your brawls too early. You just have to figure out, okay, when is my opponent extending into the board enough? When is it that I can just armor up and pass, and it won't be too bad?
Yeah, and I like that sort of interaction with those control style decks. We can also talk about the strength of mid-range Hunter so far. I've been really impressed. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Actually, did we talk about it, or was that me and Dan?
Are you saying that we're so similar in certain ways that you just can't tell us apart?
Yeah, you both have the exact same intellect. Both are very smart gentlemen.
Okay, I couldn't tell if that was an insult or a compliment there for a second. But thank you, DJ.
You're very welcome. That is one of the only similarities you share. So.
Okay, so we're gonna have Freeze Mage versus Warrior as the first match, and is this, you know, if this is a control warrior or
It is control warrior, yeah.
Okay,
and it's actually a very greedy control warrior. Maybe not greedy, but a heavier hitting control warrior. It tops out at pretty high. It actually runs Rag, Ysera, Dr. Boom, Emperor Thorsan. Its 6+ curve is really heavy.
Okay, so I would think that this would do really well against Freeze Mage.
Oh yeah,
right?
definitely, yeah. Again, this is one of the most lopsided matchups in competitive Hearthstone, or in Hearthstone in general. The control warrior versus freeze mage matchup.
Well, if you're talking about outside of competitive Hearthstone, I would think I could just play any deck and face it off against the basic deck, and that might just be the most lopsided deck.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
Hearthstone
So
overall.
competitive Hearthstone and ladder, above rank 5.
Okay.
Once you start losing bonus stars, I guess. I don't know. We'll just go with competitive play. That makes it sound a lot better. But yeah, a lot of players will say this is 90% in favor of the Warrior. Firebat at the C3 Cup was saying it was 100% in favor of the Warrior. He said it's an unwinnable matchup.
Well, that's not true because
for the Freeze Mage.
Actually, at C-Story Cup even, there were 2 Freeze Mages that beat Control Warriors, and I believe Ignite piloted both of those Freeze Mages.
Yeah, and that was before Ignite won that first Freeze Mage versus Control Warrior game. And if there's anybody, like you said, that is going to be Control Warrior with Freeze Mage, it is going to be Ignite, because he has the most experience in a competitive environment like the Hearthstone Legendary Series, at beating the Control Warrior with his Freeze Mage.
Yeah. Well, that being said, in order to beat Freeze Mage, or rather, in order to beat Control Warrior with Freeze Mage, Ignite had to get pretty lucky. For example, when he faced Amaz's Control Warrior, Amaz didn't get any card draw, so he had a fairly he had a hand that wasn't too impactful. He also lost a brawl. So Amaz, there were 5 minions on the board, including Archmage Antonidas. Amaz brawled, and he actually, Archmage Antonidas survived. So from there on out, Ignite got, like, he ended the game with 8 fireballs.
Yeah.
So you can kind of tell what kind of game that was.
Yeah, and Kabi actually has double Armor Smith and a Whirlwind. That's deadly. That's a lot of health that he can gain with those 2 Armor Smiths.
Hey, speak to me.
So much armor.
Yeah. The one thing you have to sort of dodge in this matchup is getting your Armor Smiths Doomsayered before they can get value.
That's true.
When you play Armor Smiths in this matchup, or when you sort of go all in, if you make a double Armor Smith play at any point, you have to make sure that if a Doomsayer does come out, that you have a way to deal with it.
Yeah.
So say like if you drew into Execute, he'd be able to safely be able to play double Armor Smith, because then he could Whirlwind, gain health, gain armor from it, and execute whatever came out of it.
Yeah,
so.
a little unfortunate here for Kabi. He kind of wanted to Armor Smith and Whirlwind on this turn, I feel. But unfortunately, Ignite had the Acolyte of Pain, so now all his plans are dashed. This is also a curious position here, because There's 2 mad scientists and an acolyte on the field, so this actually represents some amount of pressure for the control warrior. It's enough pressure that he, like, it's enough pressure that Kabi might be afraid of, like, ooh, just getting this board cleared, for instance.
Yeah.
And wow, I know what you're saying. Ooh, 3 secrets were drawn by Ignite.
Excuse my French, but that sucks.
I didn't know if sucks was French. I have to look up the etymology of that word later on.
Good luck.
Yeah, one of our producers earlier today, he said that Q was of Chinese origin. But that's clearly wrong, right?
You're asking me?
Okay.
I'm not a linguist.
Well, you are someone who was eating plantains your entire life, and today, for the first time, you ate a banana, and you're like, wow, this is so
fired.
sweet. Wow, why are bananas so cool here in California?
It's false. I just thought they were small bananas, okay?
Okay. You were pretty
It's a common error.
you were pretty surprised at the size of the banana, though. Just like
It was very surprising.
just like how Ignite is surprised at the number of secrets in his hand.
Great transition.
Thank you.
Good save. Not that great of a hand for Ignite here, just because it's so clogged with secrets. And since he had both Mad Scientists earlier, and he has both of these secrets active, I mean,
Can you imagine how different this game would be if one of those secrets was an Emperor Thorzen? I mean, pretty much all the cards in his hand you want to be able to reduce with Emperor. Your 2 secrets, of course, are always nice, but you have the combo of Archmage, Frostbolt, and Ice Lance in your hand. And with that, that's 6 mana for Archmage, 1 mana for Frostbolt, 0 mana for Ice Lance. So you get 2 Fireballs at 7 mana.
yeah. See, this is actually a pretty smart play. I talk about this extensively when we watch Freeze Mage versus Control Warrior games, but a lot of times it's a smart play to use some of your burn early on in the game just to keep the armor count low, because you don't want to let it get out of control. That's one of the biggest things. One of the ways that you win this game as a Freeze Mage is by keeping that armor count low and getting huge value out of Archmage Antonidas, while at the same time being able to draw into Alexstrasza before the armor count can get back up to a really great spot.
Yeah, very well put. And unfortunately, there's not many options for Ignite here. There's an Emperor Thorzen, which came down for Kabi. And Ignite at this point, he's saying, hey, I wish I had that card.
Yeah.
He'll definitely be very sad when he's saying it as well.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know what? You know what Emperor says when he comes down on the board? He's like, by the power of Ragnaros. Something, something, something.
And how fitting.
Yeah. He calls down Ragnaros.
Yeah. The one thing here is that he just doesn't have a way to deal with a Doomsayer. Of course, just being on the board is a way to deal with Doomsayer, but it's an unreliable way. So if a Frostover Doomsayer were to come out, it'd be a little dangerous. But he can be pretty confident that it won't, because it most likely would have been used the last turn.
Very true.
But Rag is so tough for Freeze Mages to deal with.
Yeah, I think Ignite, he wasn't really planning on winning this matchup anyway.
No.
Especially because all these cards in the Warrior's hand are essentially free at this point.
Yeah. Well, Alexstrasza he's actually got a decent hand for being able to win. The one problem, there's an Armorsmith on the board.
There's an Armorsmith on the board, there's Emperor on the board, there's Ragnaros on the board. Just so many issues here.
Yeah. Does gain quite a bit of armor, but now Armorsmiths are done. So one thing Kabi needs to make sure that he does from now on is make sure that he armors up every turn. The armor is just so valuable in this matchup because it increases your effective health. Mages, once the Archmage Antonidas is gone, mages have a finite amount of damage. Eventually they will run out. So the absurd amounts of health gain that warriors can get, and they can gain health above 30 as well, is one of the reasons why this matchup is so tough. Actually, it's the reason why this matchup is so tough.
Yeah. Well, not only that, it's just not only just their hero power, but just so many options to gain armor, and also the fact that typically they do run Ragnaros in their decks. Also, the minions that Warrior typically puts on the board are actually fairly difficult for Freeze Mage to clear. Like a Flame Strike, generally, it's not that good, even though it was useful in the previous game, or the previous turn.
Yeah.
Now, pretty much at this point, Ignite's only hope is that Kabi doesn't actually have a way to remove this Archmage Antonize. But we can see the Shield Slam here.
Yep.
Even in Execute.
He still got some value out of it, but I don't think the Ignite's going to have enough burn before...
Oh, well, he can actually Shield Slam his Sylvanas.
His own Sylvanas!
This is actually the second Archmage we've seen being stolen today.
Archmage is becoming a liability.
Now, how many fireballs will you get? Just one, because you can execute your own creatures. Well, two with the second fireball.
Yeah. If this matchup wasn't already hard enough.
And this is the point where you hover over that button on the bottom right of your screen. Then you hover over to the middle of your screen. And you click Concede.
And you change your video settings.
No, no, no. That's not part of the plan.
Okay.
That's
Different button.
not part of the plan. That's like the
Got it.
second button or something.
Okay. Well, he's going to hope for the best.
But anticipate the worst.
All right, so there's 12 damage plus 2 fireballs. He has 18 damage over the next 2 turns. He does have second ice block.
He's killing
Out of Iceland.
He's killing his own Archmage. What is this?
Aha!
Not to be confused with haha, which is what South Sea Deckhand says.
Thank you for the clarification. It is a big difference
I dream.
for all the blind Hearthstone players out there.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I figure all the blind Hearthstone players out there, they can really differentiate haha with aha. Because if you've seen Daredevil, you know, like if you lose your sense of sight, then all your other senses get heightened to the point where you become a superhero.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, okay. For those of you who haven't seen the Ben Affleck adaptation.
I haven't seen it yet.
The Ben Affleck
In
adaptation.
fact, you actually asked me that earlier in the week if I saw Daredevil yet, and I told you no.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
We'll talk about it
I'll
later.
try not to spoil any more movies
Okay.
later on.
Was Jason Statham in that movie?
Maybe, because I don't know who he is, so he might have been in the movie. And I just wouldn't have never known. But I do have to compliment Ignite on his mental fortitude here, because if he were Firebat in this case, he would have. I think he would have just conceded immediately. But Ignite, he's just chugging along.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, maybe I have a chance. Probably not, but I might as well play this game.
Yeah. There's always a small chance, and if you do manage to find a win with the Freeze Mage, actually, it's not even. If you manage to find a win, yeah, it's great. But now that he knows the Warrior's out of the way, so later on in the match, if he finds an opportunity where he'll have to bring out his Freeze Mage, I'm sure he'll be glad that the Warrior's gone.
Yeah.
So if there's any deck in this lineup from Kabi that he wants to beat his Freeze Mage, it is going to be the Warrior.
Yeah.
So he can't really be too disappointed about that because, like you said, he sort of knew it was coming.
Yeah. I mean, he probably would have wanted to dodge the Freeze Mage, get a win with it, so the Warrior couldn't match up against it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you just have to take what you get, right?
Mhm.
And Ignite, unfortunately, he's going to lose the first game, and he's going to have to go on with a 0-1 deficit with Freeze Mage, as well as all his other decks, including his very interesting Priest.
Yeah. And we'll see if we're going to see that one come out. But, of course, Kabi has that Ramp Druid left, and also he has Mid-Range Hunter. So Mid-Range Hunter does well against Freeze Mage, but Ramp Druid, not so much.
Oh, yeah, I had forgotten about this. Actually, Kabi's lineup is actually designed against Freeze Mage, right?
Well, the Ramp Druid...
Except for the Ramp Druid.
Yeah, yeah.
But I feel like Ramp Druid isn't even too horrible. Even though it doesn't have combo to deal the finishing blows, I feel like Ramp Druid sometimes it just puts so many creatures on the board that you can't really Blizzard away and Flame Strike away, right?
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to deal with Ancients of War, for instance?
Yeah, that's a very good point. And the one that not threatening combo could end up being a big deal. But Ignite's actually going to switch it up, and he's going to head over to that Warlock, where we're going to see Kabi here head over to the Hunter. This is Mid-Range Hunter. And if I remember correctly, this was the traditional handlock.
With Mal'Ganis in it.
With Mal'Ganis from Ignite.
A.k.a. the Magic Amy.
The Magic
Amy
deck.
handlock.
Yeah. Conspiracy theorists out there are... Their ears just perked up.
Yeah. This is the Illuminati deck. So Ignite and Magic Amy are using the same deck?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
They're going to be grilling Ignite for alibis.
Yeah.
Dan is just in the next room.
Yeah. I hate these guys.
Yeah. Sorry, Dan.
All right.
We
So
have to do it.
I mean, I think Ignite, even though this is probably a bad matchup, I think he's one of those players who's very confident in his handlock play. In fact, I'd mentioned previously in previous days that Ignite is a very good technical player, and a lot of, even though his weakness is deck building, but if he can just net deck decks off of Magic Amy, perhaps,
Yeah.
he can take it all the way.
Yeah. Of course, we call it that because Magic Amy made the deck popular when she actually won her week in the Legendary Series Season 1. She was the first player, at least in competitive tournament, to actually bring traditional handlock and just put Mal'Ganis in it. It was very shortly after Mal'Ganis was released.
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified that, because otherwise people would have been like, why are they just bringing up Magic Amy randomly?
Yeah, no. People forget that's how she made her name in the scene, was because she won a week of the Legendary Series.
Yeah, so if you win a week of ESL Legendary Series, you too can be signed by Tempo Storm.
Indeed. And nope, I'm not going to go there. We should move into the match here. Knife Juggler on turn 1 here. Kabi has like a permanent not bad face on. Every single thing that comes out is like, not bad.
What other players are like that? I mean, we saw 2 Wet yesterday. Was he the player who just sunk back in his screen every time something
Yeah,
bad happened?
Kabi's like that too when he loses. His chair just gets further and further down, and all of a sudden his mouth disappears, and then his nose just starts to sink under. And then every once in a while he'll come up for air, then he'll sink right back down into it. But it seems like he's adjusted his webcam now. This is the first time I've actually seen his shirt.
It's green.
Yeah. We could just assume the whole time he was playing yesterday that he was completely in the nude. That's how I
Yes.
prefer to play Hearthstone.
Well, yeah, like we joked about, like Dan actually came to the office in the nude yesterday. He's like, oh, I forgot my shirt altogether.
Yeah.
So that was why I had to give him my shirt.
Yeah. Ignite's posing for us as well, man.
Some fashion models today. Now, I don't think you can actually do anything on this turn.
No.
But he's definitely considering, okay, what's my follow-ups here? And they're not going to be looking that great either. I mean, you can Hellfire depending on what comes out of this Huffer. No. Huh. I think Huffer might have even been good for him here.
Yeah. Well, actually, this isn't too bad because if he had Huffered, he would have put him at, what, 10?
Yeah.
So he could actually have played... Well, no, he can do it anyway. JK.
Yeah, either way, this is going to be pretty bad. He can play a Molten Giant, but what else?
Nothing.
Yeah, now that also Kabi, he knows his opponent only has 1 Molten Giant, so he can just press for damage at this point.
Yeah.
There's like no more things that the handlock can do that are quote-unquote unfair that you have to be worried about here.
Yeah, he's got to play anti-Keelbot here, in which case he's only killing off the Leon. Still leaving 4 damage on the board, so effectively, well, not really that, but it would be healing for like 4. But, I mean, Kabi's starting to run out of damage here, but one thing about Mid-Range Hunter that makes it stronger in this matchup than, say, the Face Hunter is just because it has more reach. The minions are stickier, it has a lot more direct damage, it has more room to run cards like Hunter's Mark, which sometimes is cut from Face Hunter, and a lot of times, most of the time, it's included in Mid-Range Hunter.
Yeah.
So it helps you get through walls easier. And just the overall higher strength of your minions in the deck make it so that a lot of times you have an easier time either breaking through a wall or finding the last points of damage to finish off a Warlock.
Yeah, at this point, for example, if Kabi was running Face Hunter, then the anti-Killbot would mean a lot more. But because Kabi's running Mid-Range Hunter, that means that, yeah, even though you're able to heal up yourself, there's still a lot of damage and a lot more threats that are able to come out from Kabi's side of the board.
Yeah. And it looks like he's actually going to taunt up here. But this is sort of getting double value out of the Owl in his hand. And is that... No, not quite. I'll have 2. He'd be able to push through for 4 damage if he uses Owl plus Unleashed Hounds.
I think this is the most value you're going to get out of Owl ever.
Yeah.
I mean, silencing a taunt and some health off of the Twilight Drain.
Yeah. And whoa.
That was kind of a misplay there.
Yeah. One less Unleash the Hounds. Oh, Kabi, he realizes it. Face palms slightly. Okay.
I don't think it matters too much, though, because no matter what he drews, like, for example, the only thing it could matter about is if Ignite drew a Loatheb and a Taunt,
Yeah.
and then Kabi drew a Quick Shot, for instance, right?
Yeah. Well, the only way he can deal with this here is actually to Shadow Flame his Sunfury Protector. Throw it into his opponent's Sunfury Protector and Shadow Flame it off.
Yeah, and then what else? Play a
Play
naked BGH.
BGH? Oh, man.
That will contest the board pretty well.
Yeah.
Said no one ever.
Well, I mean, if he does live through the next turn, if Kabi can't find 2 more points of direct damage, Nilganis can come out the following turn. Which could end up being what could turn this game around.
Yeah, so basically, Ignite has to clear this board now, and then deal with this Piloted Shredder and Haunted Creeper in Kalbi's hand, and heal that turn. And then the very next turn, he'll have to play Melganis. And
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if that's possible with the amount of mana that he has.
Would you rather have a 2-3 on the board or a 4-2?
Well, it would be... Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe a 2-3 because of this Explosive Trap.
Yeah, I suppose.
And now it's this might be Ignite's last straw. What he's going to get?
I don't know if there's even any outs here.
Hellfire is the opposite of an out. Well, it is an out if you want to commit Sudoku.
It's yeah. All right. Well, Kabi is going to take a very quick 2-0 lead in this series over Ignite. This is starting to look a lot like the last match between Chalky and Savids, and it was finished in very quick fashion.
Yeah, where one player just kind of rolls over the other player.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in that matchup, Savids versus Chalky, it was more that Savids got really good draws, whereas in this matchup, it feels like Kabi is just kind of almost countering his opponent.
Yeah.
He's gotten 2 pretty good matchups. First with Control Warrior versus Freeze Mage, and then he went into Mid-Range Hunter against Handlock.
Yeah.
I feel like those are pretty much 2 of the best counters you can pretty much get. And this last deck will actually be
Druid, the Ramp Druid.
and I think that might be the weak point of his lineup because it feels like because it doesn't have combo, that deck, it's going to have a hard time finishing his opponent off.
Yeah.
And also it seems to be a deck that's more geared towards anti-aggro play, where the Freeze Mage is not an aggro deck.
Mm-hmm.
Handlock certainly not an aggro deck. And
Priest.
Priest.
Yeah, there actually is an opportunity here for Ignite, and it's a realistic possibility for him that he could 3-0 in this to sort of reverse sweep. I don't like that. Reverse sweep sounds weird. To 3-0 from a 2-0 deficit.
Very technical.
Yeah, so Ignite has Priest Mage and Handlock left, and I would say Freeze Mage and Handlock are both fantastic against the heavy Ramp Druid with no combo. And Priest, I'd say, is pretty decent. Maybe not the best, but there is an opportunity here. So he actually is going to go with the Handlock first. And this matchup's tough. Now, one of the reasons why people say that the Ramp Druid with combo is maybe a slight favorite against Handlock is just because they always threaten to combo. It's really easy for them to get to a point, like usually right at turn 9, is a point where the Druid can start threatening combo for lethal amounts of damage on the Warlock. So they have to play defensively every turn. But this deck, it doesn't have that. And I just don't think it has the power to be able to stand up to the threats that Warlock's going to be able to put out every single turn.
Well, you're saying that the Druid is threatening combo starting at turn 9, but I would argue that with Emperor and with
Turn 7!
I don't know, turn 3! Is that possible? Probably not.
If you double innervate, if you have...
Coin?
If your opening hand is like double innervate Emperor
Coin,
Thorsan
Coin, Emperor on turn 1, and you have Force of Nature, Savage Roar.
as your next 2 draws, I
Yeah.
don't think so, because you would never be able to get immediate value out of Emperor Thorsan. I don't know. It's hard. It's too much thinking.
You know, he doesn't, Kabi, he doesn't have combo, but his hand is actually looking really good outside of combo.
Yeah,
He has a BGH, he has Sylvanas, he has pretty much all the threats that he would ever possibly
Wild
want.
growth. All he needs is a keeper now to be able to deal with the Twilight Drake, and he's sitting pretty.
Exactly.
Well played.
The well played comes out.
Ignite is acknowledging Kabi's skill here.
Yeah. Or Ignite is acknowledging that he has a really fantastic hand. He's got turn 4 Twilight Drake into turn 5 tap Mountain Giant into turn 6 Emperor Thor.
Yeah, we've also seen Ignite. He's shown a tendency to play the Twilight Drake first because he will be able to tap into Mountain Giant in the very next turn.
Yeah.
Also, there's just less of a possibility of there's more of a possibility of Keeper, I guess.
Yeah.
But he'll have to expend the coin if he wants to do that play.
Yeah.
Keeper's actually, or rather, Sylvanas is actually going to be the perfect response outside of Keeper, though.
Yeah. But I mean, Iron Beak Gowl and then Mortal Coil make this play not quite as strong as Kabi would have hoped it to be.
Yeah. Also, after that, Kabi doesn't have really good responses.
So many
He isn't really going to curve out too well unless he draws into another 6-drop. And out of all the 6-drops in the game, I think pretty much the only one Kabi is running besides Sylvanas is going to be Emperor. So I guess not too many outs here. He can always draw into Keeper, though. That would be a pretty good draw. He can also just Hero Power or use some combination of the Wrath and Hero Power to kill off this Twilight Drake.
Yeah, the Keeper seems slightly late, though. Because his Twilight Drake has already got quite a bit of value out of it.
Exactly. You probably want to save your Keeper for another target, right?
Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't draw, if he's going to draw into anything, maybe a swipe would be okay.
Oh, Innervate.
Or an Innervate.
Hovering over Rag. I'm not sure if this is the best Rag turn, though.
Oh, no. With 6 damage already on the board, not guaranteed to kill anything. If your opponent has BGH at that stage, you're giving up so much momentum on the board.
Can you imagine if this were a combo druid? Like if there were one set of combo in this deck, how far ahead would really Kabi be at this point? He's going to curve out perfectly from here on out.
Yeah.
Not even that. He's seen a science being used, so Ancient of War might get some value. To Ignite's credit, though, he is running 1 Siphon Soul, and if he didn't have that Siphon Soul, he would actually be in so much trouble at this point.
This is so close to a traditional handlock list, just with, it seems like Emperor Thor's hand put in, and maybe one of the AoEs cut. Or like Second Owl.
Now, which 7-drop do you choose? First World, Druid problem.
I think usually Dr. Boom's the safest first choice, because it, especially on, well, actually always.
It just feels the strongest against the control matchup, right?
It feels strongest for the board.
Yeah, the issue here is that Siphon Soul probably will be used at this point. And then after Siphon Souls, oh no, okay. So I guess your own Dr. Boom is better than killing your opponent's Dr. Boom. I can agree with that.
Yeah, what's the best way to counter Dr. Boom? Dr. Boom.
Okay, that was a great draw. You can Keeper and BGH, 2 swing cards in 1 turn. Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you very much.
And he's got a big, nice, flooded board so that these boombots, the enemy boombot damage will be... Oh! That's nice.
I think everything's just going perfectly for Kabi here. This is his day.
Yep.
I've got the beast in my
Okay, a little bit of bad RNG with that boombot hit, but I think he'll take it here. Fortunately, no AoEs. Actually, no real good way to kill this Dr. Boom.
And Kabi really respecting the boombots there. He attacked with his Dr. Boom first because he was afraid that if he attacked him with his own boombot, that the 2 boombots on the other side of the board were going to kill his Dr. Boom. Oh, that's a shame.
I mean, boombots, sometimes they have a mind of their own. As we saw in DreamHack over the weekend with Alesh, right? Alesh,
Yep.
he did some crazy Warsong Commander Frothing Berserker play. He had lethal. But then a boombot killed his Frothing Berserker.
It pissed him off so much that he didn't even finish his turn.
Shields up.
Now, yeah, from Kabi's perspective, I think you're feeling really good at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, scenarios to buff up everything. Okay. Okay, I think that's good.
I would say so. Well, that Hellfire came 1 turn too late.
Yeah, he can Siphon Soul here, though. against a 5-8, and I think that's pretty good. But I agree with this play as well. Just going Ragnaros, you have to get, because you're so far behind here, you have to take a few risks.
BGH is gone. Ooh. I mean, that's pretty good. It removes a creature off the board. And I think he needs to respond with his own rag here, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you here.
And really hope that he kills the opponent's rag, because if he gets punished by BGH and hits face, actually, okay, no, there's no way that he can set up. I was going to say, if he hits face, then he could possibly do 13 damage this turn.
The problem with hitting face is, you're always scared of Molten Giants, especially like Molten Giant Shadow Flame, for instance, which just clears your entire board.
Yeah.
And also leaves a rag on your opponent's side of the board that you can't deal with.
Yeah.
But then again, your opponent pretty much has to have that in addition to either a heal
Big
or a
corn
taunt.
flip. Oh! That's rough.
Yes, it is rough. but
That's bad, actually. Because now he has Siphon Soul. But if he Siphon Souls, then he can't build up a wall. And if he Siphon Souls, then he'll be at 5 health.
against
dead
Hero
on-
the Claw and Hero
Well,
Power, yeah.
in a scenario on board, there's a 50-50 chance that he loses the game in that situation.
You can maybe...
I think you have to, like, double Sludge Belcher here.
yeah, I think you kind of have to.
And then you lose it to just a swipe.
Possibilities.
Oh, he's going for this play. And
Wow.
yeah, I think that actually means he's pretty much dead.
Yeah.
He's thinking of silencing his Ragnaros just to...
To clear
yeah.
off, but no, he's dead anyway. Wow! And the series is over just like that.
Well, that was quick too. Oh my god. 2 series in a row. Both semifinals are going to end with 3-0 victories from either player. Kabi's just enjoying some dinner right now, I think. Some rice treats.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
Oh, and he gives a thumbs up. Oh, yeah. Kabi with the 3-0 victory over Ignite. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. Ignite was one of the players that impressed us the most from the conversation I think we were having. So that is a big surprise. Kabi is sort of an unknown player, really making a name for himself, coming all the way from that open bracket and all the way from Argentina, makes it to the finals.
Yeah, even though like I couldn't really see any huge misplays from Kabi,
Yeah.
I really have to give it to him that it wasn't his play that brought him along here. It was more the fact that he brought really good decks, especially against the metagame right now.
Yeah.
Against Handlock, they were pretty good overall. Against Freeze Mage especially, I think 3 decks that were all really good against Freeze Mage. So
Yeah.
props to him. And also not just that, he brought Ramp Druid, which is good against aggro as well. Very different kind of line of thinking. And even though Ramp Druid isn't it's not too much in the scene anymore, he has his own line of thinking. He's like, okay, I think this deck is good, and even though no one else is using it, I'm going to try it here.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it a little bit on yesterday at the beginning of the day with Kabi. He's in that practice group under the radar. You can see the tag under his name, UTR, it says. It's a pretty big practice group with players like a Phone Tap, who makes it through our open brackets a lot. A Zixo as well contributes to that. Razor, who is famously known for making decks like Math Warrior. He's a really great deck builder, a really smart player. So I wonder if this collaboration has helped him quite a bit. When I was talking to him, he said that it did. But it's really impressive for him to have I'd say a dominant showing so far in this tournament.
Well, and even though Ignite he lost here, he can still participate in the Redemption tournament that will be coming up in a few weeks. Of course, all runners up, everyone who was in this tournament but didn't make it to the finals will be able to participate in that tournament, which will include 4 separate 7-player brackets, and it will be coming up in just a few weeks between March 14th and March 17th. The winner of each of those brackets, so 4 players in total, will be able to make it to the season finals sometime in June.
With a $25,000 prize pool. So we have one match left to go for the day. It is going to be the finals between Kabi and Savi. Savi's one of the invited players, one of the most successful players in, I'd say, the history of competitive Hearthstone. He qualified for the Season 1 Legendary Series Land Finals. There's a lot on the line for him. And Kabi, a player who wants to make a name for yourself. Do you have any quick thoughts before we head to a break about this matchup?
Well, yeah, like you said, Savis is probably, I'd say, top 5 in terms of Hearthstone results ever. and he's looking to be repeating his performance in Season 1, qualifying for the Season 2 finals.
Yeah.
Now, both players, they've met before, and it was actually Savitz that took the series, either, I believe, 3-1 or 3-2.
I think it was, yeah, very close series.
Yeah, so it might just be, if history repeats itself, basically, Savitz will be looking to have a pretty good chance against Kabi in the next match.
He's going to be looking for revenge, though. So the final of Legendary Series week number 3 between Savitz and Kabi will happen right after this.